Monopolies have an ability to use elasticity to their advantage besides the sort of basic idea that you increase the price of your product if you're in the inelastic part of the demand curve. Monopolies might also have the ability to break their customers up into groups based on the elasticity of demand. So consider this possibility. We break our customers up into two groups. One group with an elastic demand, one group with an inelastic demand. Now, based on what we've already learned, it's pretty clear that the group with the inelastic demand, we ought to be increasing their price. And if we increase the price to them, we ought to be able to increase our revenue. That's the nature of inelastic demand. The group with the elastic demand, well, we would consider lowering the price to them, and that would also increase our revenue. So consider, if the firm then sells the same number of units as before, and their cost of production is the same as before, they've increased their revenue in the inelastic group, they've increased their revenue in the elastic group. Do you realize that their profits have gone up? This is a way for a firm to increase their profit. And you don't really have to be a monopoly to do this, although it's probably easier for them. Any firm that's in an imperfectly competitive market has the ability to exert some market power to change their price. So we find that the monopoly's got another way to increase their profits. Movie theaters are great at doing this. There's sort of two basic elasticity groups there. There's sort of the average customer, which is the category I would fall into, the age class I would fall into. They view me as having an inelastic demand, or at least certainly a less elastic demand than the other customers. And as a result, I pay a higher price. I'm pretty sure that's the group you're going to fall into also, since I doubt anybody in this class is under 12 years old, and I tend to think that you're not seniors either. But consider the people that are children. The seniors are being charged a lower price. Well, if the child's the one buying the ticket, a movie ticket's a pretty big part of their budget. So that being the case, their demand would tend to be elastic, and children would then tend to react very adversely to higher prices. It would make sense for the movie theater to lower the price to them. The seniors, my best guess is that movie theaters view them as having a smaller budget than sort of the average person in the economy, and as a result lower the price. And there's also, frankly, this tradition of charging lower prices to seniors. But I don't think it's all altruism. I do think the theater suspects that their demand is more elastic, and as a result, cutting price would be to the theater's advantage. So they raise the revenue on the children, they raise the revenue on the seniors. And by the way, if I take my children with me, that does make a movie a bigger part of my budget than without them, and so I would tend to be more inclined to take them, respond fairly strongly if we cut the price to them. So even in the case of the family, we realize that for children the demand's fairly elastic. For seniors it is. We'll raise our revenue on these groups by cutting price. You and me, they raise price and raise the revenue, and the theater's profits go up because this isn't changing their cost. It's only increasing their revenue. Now, obviously, if you think about it, other firms do this, and if you think about private universities, as I point out, they're even better at this because they charge many different prices to many different students. In other words, they have more groups when they break out the customers into groups. It's not just a couple of groups. And using elasticity to your advantage this way by conducting what's called price discrimination, what we're describing here is a way to increase a firm's profits. And it's not an evil behavior. I mean, if we do expect firms to be profit maximizers, we do think they'll strategize and come up with ways to increase profits. Let's face it, ball teams are pretty good at doing things like this, and other businesses are. But also, again, don't get confused by this. This is not charge me 5, you 4, and the next person 3. This is breaking people up into groups and charging everybody within the group the same price based on their elasticity of demand.